These are the 6 things, imagine another finger, the 6 things that you need to do if you're going to sell your business in the next year. This is specifically for software, SaaS, and online businesses. Let's go. First thing you need to do is stop running personal expenses through your business. I understand there's a tax reason to do it. All business owners do it. But for the year before you're going to try and sell your business, you want your books to be as clean as possible. So start moving those personal expenses out into a different business, out into the personal expenses where they're supposed to be. Don't start to muddle all of that together because it makes the due diligence process harder on you and harder on me as the buyer. Second thing to stop doing is selling annual plans, and my goodness, do not sell any lifetime plans. Think about it this way. Annual plans give the seller all of the benefit and the buyer gets all the liability. So if you sell an annual plan on December and then I'm buying the business in February, I've got 10 months of liability for that customer that I don't get rewarded for. If you're selling annual plans as a buyer, we're going to remove that. It's not going to be part of your multiplier. If you have $10,000 a month in annual plans, that's not going to count. Another reason you don't want to be selling annual plans is they're very hard to justify that they're not going to churn in a year. Think about how easy it is to look at a monthly revenue and know whether that customer is going to come back. Have they signed up for the last 26 months? Yes, they're probably going to be here for month 27. If you have an annual plan that's paid one time 8 months ago, what's the chance that they're really going to sign up again? That churn number is usually higher, and as a buyer, we're going to discount your business with as many annual plans as you have. So the goal is to get as many on to monthly recurring revenue, no discount. Don't do any discounts like you're doing with those annual plans. I realize this is counterintuitive to what everybody tells you to do online, but stop selling annual plans and stop selling lifetime subscriptions. Don't ever sell those ever. Third thing to stop doing is to not be doing your bookkeeping. We need good, clean financials. It's the hardest part of due diligence. It's one of the things that individuals and small software businesses really don't do very well. Sometimes the accounting isn't really done. Maybe you just get some tax returns. Sometimes the accounting's on Excel. If you're really good, get it into Quicken, get it into something professional, get it into Xero. Be able to show why it's business money, but get professional accounting going. If you have to hire a bookkeeper, they're not too expensive. Hire that bookkeeper for the 1 year, get your accounting straight. Then, of course, that bookkeeper, it's not part of the sale. It's not going to cost you anything, right? We'll add that back in. Because old buyers, we have our own bookkeeper. So let's say it costs you $100 a month. That's not going to hurt your sale price because that's going to be an add back. Make it as professional and easy to follow as possible. Fourth thing, unnecessary expenses. Every business is going to have unnecessary expenses. Sometimes it's an attempt to see if this tactic is going to get you new revenue. Sometimes it's just something you do that's half personal, half business. Let's say for me, an example would be like Ahrefs, right? I don't really care so much because a lot of my stuff is sold on marketplaces. My SEO ranking isn't really that important, but I keep track of it just for giggles. It's not really a necessary expense for the business. If I was going to sell the business, I'd probably cancel that subscription. But caution. Do not cancel things that are part of growing the business, and do not cancel things that are essential to running the business, because we're going to catch that and we're going to know. If all of a sudden you cancel your CRM, you cancel all of your marketing, you cancel all of your advertising, that is going to show up in your revenue over the next year. And we're going to say, hey, you don't have these essential things for your business. We're going to have to add them back in there, and that's going to lower your valuation. Get rid of unnecessary expenses, but do not get rid of things that are important to running the business or are critical for growing the business like you have in the past. Fifth thing is not being professional. By that I mean make sure your business is incorporated. Make sure you're running through business bank accounts. Make sure you're using business bank cards. This makes it very easy for us as buyers to recognize that you're running things professionally, especially if you tie it in with really well done accounting. When we see that, someone's got really good accounting, they got everything professionalized, right there you are creating a lot of trust. Hey, we're professionals in this, we're going to work together, and if we find mistakes, it's going to be easier to get through them because I know from the background and how you're running your operations that it probably is a mistake and it's not a purposeful attempt to get around something. So make sure you're running in a corporation, S Corp, LLC, whatever you choose for your own personal situation. Make sure you have a business bank account. And finally, make sure you have business credit cards and no personal expenses on those. It's just for the business. Makes it nice and simple for due diligence, nice and easy to get through. Finally, the sixth thing is stop avoiding doing documentation, stop avoiding doing SOPs, stop avoiding commenting your code. Listen, I know it sucks. I freaking hate it myself. I hate doing SOPs. Actually, I like SOPs because it gives me that process. What I don't like is making sure my developers are commenting the code, reminding them all the time. Let's just take up 30 minutes every other day. Work on the documentation. It's going to help you in 2, possibly 3 phases of your sale. One, it shows a lot of professionalism when we see that during the negotiation phase as well as in the LOI stage. Second, when we're looking at due diligence, we're going to be asking about comments in your code. How easy is it to read? How well documented is your software? How well documented are your procedures? If you had something happen to you tomorrow, how could I take it over? What if something happens to you the day after you sell the business to me? I need to be confident that I can actually run it, because now I have all the risk, I've given you all the money, and then all of a sudden something happens to you. I've got to be sure that you have documentation in place. And think of it this way, it's a double benefit, right? Because in the end, you need that documentation in case something does happen to you. In my case, I always make sure that my wife has, it's like a pamphlet, it's like a book this big with, here's everything that I do. If I get hit by a bus and I'm out of commission for 30 days, here's how you run the business. If I get hit by something bigger than a bus and you need to sell the business, this is all the information you need to sell it. You can talk to a buyer without even understanding how to run the business, because I've got everything documented. I've got the professional accounting. So make sure you do the documentation, make sure you comment your code. It's going to benefit you in 2 ways. And I said 3 things. Actually, the third way that it's going to benefit you is during the transition phase. So once we've closed the deal, handshake, we're all high five, everything's good. Now we got to go through the transition phase. We have to do a knowledge transfer. I would have to learn everything that you and your team know. Having that documentation makes it easy, because you can just throw it in my lap and say, hey, Michael, you read all this. It's all in there. I don't have to waste my time with this. If you have that stuff done, then it's in the buyer's lap, right? Huge help. Those 3 things. It helps you with convincing the buyer that you're a legit professional. Second, it helps with due diligence. And third, it's going to help you with the transition. That wraps up the 6 things that you should stop doing now if you're going to sell your business in 1 year. If you want to know more, I do a newsletter called Founder Exits. Its goal is to help founders understand what they need to do and prepare their business to sell it within the next year. Go ahead and sign up for that. You can like and subscribe to the video, but really where you're going to get the most information is probably in the newsletter. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.